By 2016, the Latino and Hispanic community reached 57.5 million, making it 17.8% of the total population in the United States. By 2060, the Latino population will have reached 119 million. That is more than 28.6% of the total population. 77.2 million Latino students are currently enrolled in our public education system, making up 25.1% of the total student population. This is a 9 million increase since 1996, showing a 102% growth in the total student population. Although the Latinx community is one of the fastest growing minorities, they have one of the second highest poverty rates. Latinx families have a poverty rate of 19.4%, while white families have a poverty rate of 8.8%.
I never went to school trips. Never could afford it. Never got a yearbook. Never bought pictures. So I didn't have the money for it.
My parents would work a lot, so I feel like in a sense we missed out on like things like instrument lessons or like extracurricular stuff, but it was more like of scheduling because they were working so much.
My dad worked in the morning and he did overtime, like 2-3 hours overtime every day. And my mom, to be able to again pay and to find care, she worked in the afternoon.
There was too many of us, even with my mother and my dad both working and us having a part-time, the older ones, there wasn't enough money.
It was like my mom would come home late. She was very hardworking, so there was a lot of things that I couldn't really tell her about my day because she was so busy with work and making sure that we had a meal and taking care of all of us that sometimes, you really didn't talk about school. So I think had my mom had a larger attention span to what we were doing, and I think she probably would have been more interested in what we were doing in school, and maybe it would have made she would have disciplined me more, and I would have maybe done things differently.
Students who live in poverty-stricken families encounter many situations that can seriously affect them. Studies show that many of these students live in single-parent households, and the effects of negative and unstable environments manifest in children's behavior at school, which can negatively affect students in the future. The student dropout rate of Latinx students has significantly decreased from 27.8% to 9.2%. However, Latinx students are well above the 4.6% of white students. I don't remember ever going to a counselor. I remember being sent to the principal because of misconduct.
There was no guidance. That was the problem. There was no specific person, or there was no mentor or anybody who took me aside and said, "Hey man, listen, what are you doing? Stop, get focused. You're smart." I was getting like A's, and I had really good grades, but I just thought I was smarter than everybody else, and it came back to bite me in the butt. But again, it was because there was no system in place or no one to mentor me or tell me, "Hey, this is what you're doing wrong, so stop." Instead, they just gave me an option. They gave me an ultimatum. Either you do this, and then there was no second option. And I refused to do that, so I dropped out of high school.
Under zero-tolerance policies, Hispanic youth are 3 times more likely to be suspended, expelled, and referred to court than white youth with the same infractions. Dropouts are far more likely than the rest of the population to experience reduced job and income opportunities, required government assistance, and chronic unemployment. This is due to school policies and procedures that drive many of our nation's school children into a pathway that begins in school and ends in the criminal justice system. School-based arrests also increase the likelihood that students will be arrested and incarcerated during adulthood. This is also known as the school-to-prison pipeline. This creates an achievement gap in the Latino community.
We have a problem with education, period, because we've had for years this educational gap dealing with African Americans and Latinos. Yes, we have made strides for more African Americans and Latinos graduating,
Right.
more Africans and Latinos taking the SATs. However, we still have a gap. Well, it's not a gap anymore, it's a chasm. Not only in Montgomery County, not only in Maryland, but in the United States.
The whole time I was in high school, I probably saw my counselors 3 times, which was like their mandatory meeting or whatever, but they never even mentioned college.
I don't remember ever sitting down with a counselor or a teacher to speak about what my options were, my strong points, about doing better in school. I always had horrible grades, and my parents didn't even speak enough English to realize that an F meant failing. So yeah, no teacher ever sat me down and were like, oh hey, what's going on at home? How come you don't do your homework? How come you have such bad grades? Do you not want to go to college? I always heard the word college, but I never really understood the meaning of it.
I didn't know anything about college. I didn't know the ways to go. I didn't know that you had to take tests to go. I basically didn't have any help. I was a straight A student through my whole high school education, and I was told that it would be better if I didn't go. Not that if I didn't go, I just didn't have the option to go. When I visited the counselor, he basically told me, this is not something for you.
There are also consequences of generational, language, and cultural barriers.
I mean, like any parent, I feel like they always support you and whatever you want to do, but I feel like Spanish or Latino parents, they have so much to worry about in the sense of working and keeping the household together and 3 kids. So I feel like they always supported me of, yes, we want you to study and go to school, but like I feel like many times it's hard for Spanish parents to give you all the resources like American parents can, because they grew up here and they know more of the process.
Go to school, that's it. That's all I got.
Everyone had to go to school in my house, but not everyone was asked to keep a certain level or a certain grade or to achieve. So I'd say education was important, but my mother and my father also didn't have enough education themselves to, I guess, ask us to do better or to correct us when we weren't doing so good. So no, it wasn't super important.
She was always okay with it, like, yeah, you can go, but it's up to you.
Students find themselves blaming themselves and their parents, when in fact the fault is in the system. So what can we do? We can inform ourselves, inform others, and take action. Moreover, we can give equitable opportunities, resources, and education so that every student in America can gain a job, education, and the freedom to pursue their dreams. You can also visit NEA.org, also known as the National Education Association, where you can learn more about this topic and many other issues that our students face in our current educational system. You can also visit the Legislative Action Center, where you can take action and make your community better for your future youth.